Hello, Facebook. Hello, world. We are live again. Hi, Facebook. I'll just wait if one or two persons join me and we'll continue. We'll begin. We'll continue with our project on domestic violence. This is That Name Woman platform, a registered company in the UK that work with girls and women who have gone through adversities in life. What we do is we try to help them build their confidence and self-esteem and bounce back. We try to help them find a purpose and remember that they are still valuable. I am your girl, Emilian Grace for That Name Woman. And today we'll be joined by some other powerful ladies. You know, the project Do Not Violate Me, I'm a Woman, is sponsored by the National Lottery Commission Funds and the Department for Digital, Cultural Media and Sports. Before this year, or before the COVID-19 situation, research showed that 243 women and girls were being abused by their inmate partners. During the COVID pandemic period, the numbers have skyrocketed all around the world. It's our responsibility as a people to support the girls and women who are survivors of violence. We need to help them stay away from violence. That Name Woman, we are involved in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. We know gender-based violence is an annual international campaign that kicks off every 25th of the year and runs through the 10th of December. I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all our partners and volunteers who have joined us to orange the world for the 16 days. We are very grateful. As I said earlier on, today we'll be joined by some other powerful women as we talk about the other dimensions of domestic violence. I'll bring them on board. Hi, Bishop. Hello, Bishop Barry Nalova. Can she hear us? Hi, Dr. Deborah.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
The problem is I cannot hear you. I don't know what has just happened, and my volume has just gone down. Can I go out and come in again?
That's fine. That's fine. You can do just that. Hi, Dr. Deborah. Thank you for joining us today on That Name Woman platform. It's a privilege to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be with you. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be on this platform on a powerful topic that is so matter to us across the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know the topic is very dear to your heart.
I love it. I really. Very true. Very true.
You are looking beautiful as usual.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so flattering for your word. Thank you so much.
You look very, very beautiful today.
Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Dr. Deborah, while waiting for the other
Mm,
speakers, I think she's joining now. We have Bishop Barry
okay.
now back on the platform. Hi, Bishop. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry about that. The network back here is not very good, but we pray
It's
that it will be
Oh,
all right.
it's all right. At least we can hear you. That's what's important.
yeah.
Okay.
We are hearing you very well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I think we'll just go straight to what we are talking today about. We have been doing this series on domestic violence. We started in October because October was the month for National Domestic Violence Awareness, and we continued in November, in October,
Mm,
and we are still going on with the 16 days activism against the gender-based violence.
mm,
So today, the past episodes, we have talked about the role of the church and what is domestic violence.
mm,
Today, I want us to look at it from a different perspective. We'll be looking at the other dimensions, the multiple dimensions of domestic violence. This is because sometimes when people hear of domestic violence, they want to see marks on the body, they want to see the physical battered on a woman or whoever is the is the victim, but it goes beyond that because there are many different forms and many different dimensions of domestic violence. We all understand that culture and social norms are highly influential in shaping
mm,
individual behaviors, including the use of violence. Factor. And domestic violence, as we know, that's the truth. It's more about power and
mm,
control. And we cannot really just attribute them to certain factors, although the cultural and the social norms are
mm,
playing a major role to perpetrate violence.
mm,
So as long as some cultures still
mm,
accept the principles and privilege of the male dominance, the man will always be at the
mm,
point of being abusive, especially an abuse to a man with violence. And if we
mm,
continue to tolerate all this violence against women, the men will continue to be abusive. We all know it's a very sensitive topic and it has been kept under the carpet for so long. But I think it's time we all join our
yeah.
voices and say no to violence. I think it's time we all join our voices and say, do not violate me. I am a woman. High time we start to teach people how we want to be treated. You can only teach people
Mm,
how they should treat you. So without taking much of your time, I will go straight to you, Dr. Deborah.
okay.
And as I said earlier before, I really celebrate you on this platform. I know you
Thank
are
you so much.
a DV activist and truly yours. The first day I watched your story, I
Mm,
cried. Yes, I cried the
oh,
first day I watched your story. Before I go to you, I just want to welcome Nora Brown on the show. Hi, Nora.
Hi, hi again.
Good to have you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.
It's really a privilege to have you here because I read on your platform you were not feeling so well, but still you said domestic violence is an issue that concerns all of us, and you still come and join us and add your voice to say no, do not violate me. I am a woman. We are grateful for that.
Yes.
Thanks so much,
Wow.
Grace. Thank you.
And back to you, Dr. Deborah. Papa, I like to
Okay.
call you Dr. Mupapa. as,
Thank you so much.
as,
Thank you so much for having me.
as a DV survivor, what can you say about cultural beliefs, especially from the African context? You know, I call
From the
you the
African
B.
perspective,
I call
the
you the
as usual.
B. The B of our generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know you went through domestic violence. I know
Thank
you went through domestic violence from a very young age, and it had something to do with culture. If I can recall your story, what do you think the
Absolutely.
cultural beliefs? How did they affect you?
Actually, okay. I always love to use my own example. I know that majority of women in Africa have the same experience, have the same, I mean, of thinking. I said domestic violence is one of the issues that women are facing in Africa. It has been for them for so long because the idea of what we believe from the foundation of our late grandparents. We believe in Africa as safe that when a man paid the pride of a woman towards marriage, and he has the power to control the woman. And automatically, in that time, they believe that women have to obey for whatever the woman. No matter what is he or she. No matter what she is going through in this. In the marriage, she have to accept it. So women believe that if a man paid the price, even though she's going through the pain, or even though she's going through domestic violence in the house, she still have to face it. She still adapt to it. She doesn't have rights to go back to the parent. She can't express a feeling. Her voice is not heard there. So the same thing applies to me. My mother was not there. She does not have, she does not feel my pain. She does not understand my feelings. She still, all what she was focusing on is her marriage. How can she hold a marriage? Because because of my stepfather. So she still believes in a marriage, trying to protect a marriage, trying to protect her children, trying to protect her husband, neglecting her own feeling, neglecting my own pains, how am I feeling at that time? So the same thing I have in Africa. If when we look at the African way, what women are facing right now. I believe in the same. The culture is one of the issues that women are facing in domestic violence.
Okay, thank you so very much for that contribution. If I understood well, it means your mother had to be submissive to her husband. She was thinking about maybe
Yeah,
if she leaves marriage, she will need to pay back the bride price. If she needs this marriage, if she leaves this marriage, maybe she will really struggle with the children. You know, before a
yeah.
lot of
Even though it's not right, but she still believes that she still have to protect her marriage and neglect her child. So the women in Africa, believe in a way of protecting their marriage than to understand the situation that they have to face or the situation that they have to change.
wow. Yeah, you said something, Deborah, that your mother neglected how you guys
Yeah.
felt in order to protect her marriage.
Wow.
Wow. I'm asking you this, or I'm saying we all know the man in the African context is always treated as the king, and he can do whatever he wants. The fact that he pays school fees and
Yeah,
put food on the table, that's okay. That's what we
absolutely. Because when a man paid a woman pride, the woman become automatically like a slave, no matter what she is facing in the marriage, no matter what the idea, no matter what can you tell her about leaving the marriage, because of that is the way it was funded. That is where it was viewed from the beginning.
wow. Means it goes beyond emotional traumas and the things we saw our parents going through. Some of us, we have grown and we need to unlearn that. We need to unlearn it and change the dynamics because violence,
Absolutely.
there is no justification for violence. And I think that's why we are having this platform to talk about it today. That's why we are having the discussion on the table because violence knows no boundaries. It's everywhere and it can happen to everybody. I want to drift a little bit from um, cultural norms to the society. And I think I'll go to Nora because I read a lot of stuff on your page. You're there making ladies and women to feel that they are valuable. They still have value, even if they are divorced or they are single. I applaud you and I salute you for that job. So, Nora, as an individual, how do you perceive domestic violence?
Um, thank you, Grace, for this. Domestic violence is it's really a broad subject that people tend to limit it to. A lot of people think that domestic abuse is just when um, your partner raises their hands on you, but it is more than that. It is it's so broad that
Yeah.
it comes in various forms. You have financial abuse. You have narcissistic tendencies that's over controlling. Um, you have you have and then you have the beating. You have emotional. You have psychological. So it's quite broad. It's a broad spectrum of events, and society has turned to. When I always talk about society, I categorize it into the male dominated way of looking at things. There are a lot of things that have made women to tolerate abuse. I've been a victim to some of these things, and I had to learn them, and it took me a long time for me to learn these things. And then I got to realize, when my eyes were open, and I got to realize that, hey, um, I can be cherished more than what I'm getting now. I can be valued. Um, I should not be subjected to mistreatment. I should not be subjected to curses, because sometimes when you hear your partner, I will even say that psychological and emotional abuse is even deeper than than the one that they even hits you, because it it eats you up from inside. Um, it strips you off completely, your dignity as a human, because if if at every second of the day your partner is telling you how evil you are, how bad you are, and all these things, all these words, they go into your subconscious mind, and they stay there until it
And
gets to a point you start believing things. You start believing that you are worthless. You're just no, nobody can ever love you. Nobody can want you, and stuff. And then you start. I mean, you drown in sorrow. You drown in yourself, and it leads to a lot of things. You have. I mean, it turns to depression. A lot of women are in their home, but they are so greatly depressed. I mean, so depressed. I've been there. When I finally took that decision that I'm leaving the relationship, I'm leaving this marriage. This marriage is not for me. You know, a lot of friends were like, they were like, oh, Laura, what really happened? No, he's a good man. We saw him. You were okay together, and all those kind of stuff. Which is a normal feminine thing, as I always say. They try so much to cover all these nasty behaviors of our partner, and the worst of it is some women, you even cover those nasty behaviors, and then the man on the other hand exposing those nasty behaviors to the outside. And you are struggling to cover it up. He is exposing you, painting you as the bad person. But you stay quiet because we have been trained, we have been indoctrinated from childhood in the community that it's there is this notion that they always say it's a woman that builds her home. You know, and I said, no, those are the things that we need to start training our young daughters and our sons that we are grooming up to understand. It's not a woman that builds a home. It's a woman and a man that builds a home. Because you cannot be building something and then the other person is catching it. It's never going to work, because it's just the same. Like you can be erecting a building now. You can be putting bricks together, and then the little bricks you've tried to put together, somebody has taken the bricks off. Then you start from square one again, put some more bricks together again, try to build it. Then you come the next morning, somebody has taken the bricks off again. So it gets to the point where there is frustration. There is frustration in. So what exactly has to happen is you put the bricks on. The next morning you want to come, hey, there is already another layer of bricks that have been put on. So it's like you are building together, you're working together. I cannot be putting bricks and you're taking them off. It doesn't work that way. It's the two people that make it work. And our mothers and the way society brought them, they don't teach their sons all these things. They put it in a woman. Oh, you are the one that has to be in the kitchen. You're the one that has to be this. You're the one. You are the woman. A man will come and marry you. And then you're wondering that if a man is coming to marry you, so what is the own responsibility? Does it mean that you are just there for you're just there to sit and let this man come and marry you? So there is no value to you as a woman. Is that all what it is? Because the man too has to be taught how to be a husband. Because to be a husband in a relationship is not a joke. To be a man, because we say that I am the head. They always want to boast, I am the head. Oh, you must respect me. Hey, being the head, being the head comes with a lot of responsibilities. Because if you want to say that you are the head, it means that you are leading by example. So you cannot be leading the home being a drunkard. You cannot be leading the home being being an adulterous man. You cannot be leading the home being lazy, because being lazy, it means you are setting the path for the rest to follow, which the rest to follow is also your wife. Your wife is following you. So you are telling her that this is how we do things, which automatically means that every single thing that your wife do, you are the one that has to teach her. Because if you want to go by the insistence that society makes them understand that I am the head, then they need to teach all these things. It means that you're bringing me in and you're leading me, and then I have to follow, which means that you even need to lead me as well in the kitchen. You need to teach me how to cook, because you are the head. I don't know anything. It's just the same like if I go for an employment now, they will put me with somebody who is my leader, the team leader, and the team leader has to train me on what I need to do. That is what being a head is. So you need to teach me, which means that before you are even before you think of getting married, you should be a chef. You should be a chef. You should be skilled in domestic work. Like you should be skilled in everything, because you are going to teach me. Now the issue comes now when these men just want to marry without even knowing their own responsibilities are what. Do we really teach them responsibilities? Do we teach them what it entails to be a man? That's why sometimes on my platform, I always say this thing. A lot of focus have been put on women over the years. Everything is the woman. Oh, you need to do this because you are soon going to be married and stuff. You know, and I believe that is the fundamental problem which we have in relationships today. Because I believe that that's a fundamental problem we have, because our parents and great grandparents back then ago failed to teach the men what it means to be a man. Because being a man and being the head is not just about title, or that you're Mr. This, you're married, and then the woman is having children for you. It comes with, Rebecca, you go out. It comes with great, it comes with price. Responsibility. It comes with a price. So, and I have seen that because I always have this conflict on my wall. I think Grace can see, especially dealing with our men, our African men. I always have this conflict when I try to put these things across. There is always that battle, and then they always look at it from a perspective that that is the dangers that feminism have brought, and all these kind of things. Like, you know, I for one,
I think it's because of the way they were brought.
Yes, if I want to go back the way I was brought up, you know, there are a lot of expectations that I would want to see in any man I am. with. And if I don't see those things, there will be problems because I did not grow up. I didn't grow up to see my dad just sitting down and watching TV. My dad was a very hardworking man, and even till today, getting into his 70s, he's still doing a lot of work. Like, we are the ones begging him that he needs to stop. He needs to start allowing people do things for him because of the age, but he doesn't want to. So I mean, I saw my father work. I saw my dad cook for us. I saw my father stand in the kitchen sink and wash all the dishes. So when you want to say all these things and then you see these boys that have not been trained properly, they have not been taught properly, and then you see them and say that man's thing. Some of them will go like, oh, go and marry your dad. I say, yes, if there's a way that I can marry my father, I will marry him 1,000,000 times over than any other man. I will, because he set the example in our home. We saw him, and it made my late brother, who have blessed memory today. There was nothing in our home that David. 1 second.
That was deep, you know.
I like what she was saying.
My dad.
I like what she was saying. Okay.
My dad was always with my mom in the kitchen. Like, when he comes back from work, my mom is in the kitchen cooking. My dad will help. My dad used to wash even bitter leaf. Yes, he used to. My dad will go to the market. He will buy a whole cow skin, the big one like this wrap. He will come and put on the charcoal behind the house, a fire burning, and we'll sit there together, all of us. And there were many children at home then. And my dad would be burning this thing and washing it with the iron sponge. Yes.
Wow.
And still he was a man. So my question is, what I always say is that when you do all these things, it doesn't limit your role, or it doesn't take away the respect that you claim you want to get. Because I think that people who are not versed with society, who are not even learned, that would think that if they do all these things, it makes them less of being a man. No, my dad did all these things, and he still got all the respect that he could get from my mother. So when I see men that don't want to do anything, just want to sit there, lazy around and leave the stuff for women. And mind you, my father was a civil servant together with my mom, so they were both working. My mom was a full-time nurse. My dad was a statistician in the ministry, so they both had full-time work. So after work, they come and they built. So I saw them build together. And I believe that is the fundamental that a lot of our men have lost it over time, and that's the cause of all this separation and everything, because they just don't want to do things which they need to do, which they are even supposed to do. We don't need to even tell you that do these things. It just has to be something that is in you to do it. You need to give support. You need to give support. That is why you will see some women are in their 30s and they look as if they are 50 years old. because because they work so hard in the home. You have a full-time job as a woman. You come back home, you don't have no support from the man at home. You have to do all the house chores, you have to take care of the children. Then at the end of the day now, he still expects you with all that kindness that you should give him sex as well at night when you want to sleep. And all those things bring all the conflict. And and that is another form of abuse. It's abuse in relationships, which we don't talk about, but society to some extent I can say has made it look like the norms, which which are some of the things that we need to start making the society and learn those things. And, and that is why I have boys and I train them. I'm training them to do every single thing at home. Let them do all these things. Let it be part and parcel of them, because that is all what we can do to unlearn these things, so that the generation that is coming further, that we know how these things work. So you do things with me, they stay in the kitchen with me, you clean the house, you do all these things. You have to know how to do all these things. So there has to be nothing more like this one is a girl that has to do it, or this one is a boy that has to do it. Because that is how some homes used to bring up their children. So I think I've said enough for now. Maybe I should leave the next speaker now. Come back.
Yeah. Thank you.
You really say a lot. Very good.
Thank you, Nora. From what you have been saying, I understand that in our society, the men are expected to exercise coercive control. But
Yeah.
truly, that's not the case. I think what you have taught us, or what you have told us today, is that we need to heal from those generational trauma, because your energy can only attract what you are. So if you
Yeah.
have that energy, I saw my mother going through this like an African woman. We have been trained to always endure. So if you have that mindset, I saw my parent doing this, so it's all right. Or the kitchen is a place for girls, then you're not going to teach that to your children. So it's great. We are doing this program for ourselves and for the younger generation. I'll come back to you, Nora, on what the society holds. But before that, we'll move to Bishop Barry Nalu. Bishop, permit me go through some of the comments before I get to you. Thank you so very much, our viewers. Hi, Nana. It's good to know you're watching from Finland. Goretti says, yes, I agree. Being, wait a minute, let me bring it up. Yes, I agree. Being married trumps being a mother to a lot of women back home. Oh my, as they used to. However, things are changing now. Women have owned their voices and consequently look out for themselves and their own. Wow, I couldn't agree more. That's very true. Elizabeth says, the fear of what people will say keeps people in abusive relationships. Some people don't even know it's abuse because they grew up saying that, and it's always like a norm to them. Yeah, that. Thank you, Dr. Agbo. That just goes to what we said. We need to heal from those generational trauma. In the era where you need to own your power and own your voice, as we said. Elizabeth also said, as parents, it is now our duty to teach our children better through our words and actions because we know better. Very good point, Nora. I totally agree with that. When you know better, you do better. Then Bebe, what did Bebe say? Bebe said, unfortunately, it's a thing which has been carried onto our generation. Our husbands today are a product of that training. Very few men have changed. That's true. You hear people saying, I'm a woman, I'm not a rehabilitation center. And I totally agree. I will always say the mother is the highest abuser. If you are a mother out there and you are not teaching your sons or your daughters, because abuse knows no gender, if you're not teaching them the right things to do, if you're not teaching them about emotional intelligence, then you are an abuser. Because if that child is damaged, believe me, that child will grow up to become a damaged adult. Thank you so very much, Bebe, for that. It said, watching from Cameroon, great job, great women. Thank you so very much, Wilson. Next week we are having the men on the platform because there is no point talking about domestic violence without involving the men. So thank you for watching, and we'll be happy to have you next week on the platform. Harriet says, I think our parents failed to correct because of polygamy. I think we'll go back to that point when we go back.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Harriet, for that. I totally agree with you. Those are those generational traumas we need to heal from. The competition is high. Anastasia said, wow, this is great. Thanks, girl. Dr. Deborah, this is time that women need to stand up to say no. Yeah, I totally stand up with everybody to say no to domestic violence. Do not violate me. I am a woman. Okay, now we'll go over to Bishop Barry Naluva. Hi, Bishop. We celebrate the grace
Hi.
over your life.
Amen.
Good to have you on the platform, ma. You know,
Thank you.
you are a voice of influence, and going personally, I know you are a survivor of domestic violence, but I'm not gonna get the cat out of the bag. What I want to know from you, yes, I personally know that domestic violence knows no boundaries. But I want to ask you this: how much do you agree with there are research articles out there that confirms that domestic violence is rooted in our African culture? What's your take on this, Bishop? What's your take?
I totally agree that domestic violence is rooted in the African culture because of the male dominance that the African man has over the African woman, the African son has over the African daughter, the African brother has over the African sister. Even today, I saw something in a family where there is an elder brother and then a sister and then a junior brother. The junior brother was sick, the youngest one, and the mother was saying that this child should be taken care of by the sister. So you see, the eldest brother was free, but the sister, she's even younger, but she was being shouted on to take care of her sick junior brother. So as she is growing, she knows that it is her responsibility to do everything. It is not the responsibility of the brother. I believe that domestic violence is rooted in the African culture because of what children grow perceiving what their parents do. Now, things are changing. Things are changing. I want to go a little further. Domestic abuse cuts across many levels. But there is something we should know. Some women How can I put this? For example, if you are from village A and everybody in village A behaves in a certain way towards their women, the women grow to understand and believe that that is how women are treated. So as long as they marry a man from village A, they don't think it is abuse. So they live like that. Now, when intermarriages happen, a woman from village A goes out and marries somebody from village B, where women are treated better, then her eyes open, there is a light bulb. The light comes on. Wow, I'm being treated better in this society. So village A women are being abused. So abuse can only be experienced. Abuse cannot be taught. Abuse can only be, if you have not experienced something better, you cannot even know that you have been abused before. So you see, when this woman from village A, where abuse is normal and she thinks that that is life, gets to village B and then she marries someone who treats women better, then she knows that the women of village A are being abused. And so the woman from village B now has to come back and start educating the women in village A that listen, it is not like this. Their women are treated better. What you are going through is called domestic abuse. And that is what you and I are doing now. Because we have experienced different things, we are now talking about it to people who do not even know that what they are going through is abuse. You see, and now when a man from a village or from a community where men are taught to treat women better, when such men marry women who have lost their own value, they start adding value to these women. Oh no, I want to help you. Oh, let me help you to carry that. Oh, the woman will even, I have seen a woman who says, what kind of a man is this? Can't you slap me? Because to her, slapping is normal.
Oh no.
What kind of a man is this? Can't you just be angry and give me a slap for once? Because that is where she comes from. And then it's the man who starts telling her, no, it is not right for a man to hit a woman. I love you. Why should I hit you? And she goes like, so what did I see? How did I grow up? What am I saying? Abuse is cultural. Do we get it? Abuse is cultural, and abuse cannot be taught. It can only be experienced.
And I think there's many of them that don't understand the meaning of marriage also.
Wow. Yeah, thank you, Bishop. I could see the energy flowing from you. I know how you put a lot of energy to talk about it. So I will just go straight away to ask you this question. What are the effects of domestic violence? And in your opinion, do you think it's a choice to stay in an intimate violence relationship?
Please, can I just ask something? Can I just ask something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Bishop.
Please, you were breaking up. I'm actually straining to hear. Can you repeat that?
Okay. I said, can you elaborate a little bit on the effects of domestic violence?
Can you please repeat that?
I'm asking you, in your opinion, what are the effects of domestic violence? And do you think it's a choice to stay in an intimate, abusive relationship? Pastor?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about the effects first, the effects of domestic violence. You know, from my experience, when I went through abuse, I lost my self-esteem. I was more educated. I was more politically popular. Yet I lost my self-esteem to the point where I could not go out to public. I could not go and talk on TV. I could not even go to the House of Parliament anymore. I began to feel little. I got depressed. I almost lost my mind. Domestic abuse can even cause madness. But the good thing is, I had to remove myself from the society. Because let me tell you something, many people say the fear of what people will say. My dear sisters, what people say has a very serious effect on how you live your life. It is very difficult to live a life that says, I don't care what people say. It takes courage to get there.
Yep.
So what I did was, I removed myself from that society. I left that country and I moved to Norway. I didn't leave the city. I left the whole country. Now, if you are somebody whose influence is in one city, it is good to leave that city and go to another. But I was the kind of person whose influence was felt in the whole country. I was a representative of Africans at the House of Parliament, and then I was being abused. I mean, abused. So the only thing I could do to keep my sanity was to leave the whole country.
Wow.
It takes a lot of courage to leave even for 1 week, and people pointing at you and say, oh, look at that woman with all what, with all this, with all that, and then she let a man to do that to her. Because you are being insulted. Nobody sympathizes with you. They insult you.
Wow.
So you see, if I had sympathizers like, oh, what this man is doing is not right, we stand with you, don't worry about it, we are here for you, I would not have left. But the society says, like, a woman like you, how did you allow that man to do that to you? Nobody allows themselves to be abused. Nobody allows. But if you don't get out of that abusive condition, that is when you allow it. My dear sisters, I had to move out. I had to pick up my pieces and build up myself again.
Wow.
To the point where I could not even drive my own car and pass on the streets because people will recognize the car. Ah, my goodness. So I had to start using taxis, hiding. You see, the effects of domestic abuse, they can even make you kill yourself. Do you understand me? They can make you kill. You can go and kill yourself. Especially when the kind of abuse is that kind of abuse that compares you to people that are not up to you. They are not up to you. Let us Let's not go before or come behind. In life, we are not all equal. Some people are more than others in one way or the other. So if I consider myself more educated and my abusive partner verbally abuses me by comparing me to someone who is not even as half educated as I am, that is an insult. So you cannot fight this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You cannot fight this. It's a battle that you cannot even fight. The best thing to do is to leave. So it is a choice. It is a choice to stay. But let me tell you something. Before you decide to leave, psychologically, you have to get to a certain level. Because living is a force. Living the relationship is a force. And that force does not come at one time. It builds up. It builds up. So for you to take the decision to leave, there is a threshold that you cannot stand anymore. Then you tell yourself, you know what? I am leaving. Please permit me to define living. Permit me to define living. People think that living is movement. It's a physical movement from point A to point B. Living an abusive relationship is more than physically moving. When you move physically, you have to move emotionally. You have to move psychologically. You have to move even financially, because some people move physically and yet are still abused because they are mentally enslaved to their abusers.
Very true.
So living is in many phases. That is where we come in. Nora, that is where you come in. Dr. Mupapa, that is where you come in. My dear sister Grace, that is where you come in. Because when that woman moves physically, she needs help to detach mentally, to detach emotionally. Some women leave and they still yet are abused mentally by that abuser. And that is where those of us who have survived, we can come and start giving counseling. The Bible says that you can only help someone when you have gone through what they have gone through. So, and that explains why there are I see God bringing so many women to me, because what I have gone through is only experience and the relationship with the Holy Ghost that can help other people come out. It is not the certificate in counseling. I'm telling you.
I got you.
You can only comfort with the comfort you have received. You cannot comfort because you have a certificate. Now lie.
Wow. Thank you, Bishop. I'll come back to you. I totally agree that if a sister comes to you and complain that they're going through domestic violence, believe me, it means it has gotten up here. Please give them your ears. And Bishop, I know, please, if you feel comfortable at the end, you tell us a little bit about your story, because I know you experienced domestic violence in 2 different situations. But what I've picked from what you're saying, we can totally agree that domestic violence, they are wide ranging and they differ with many different victims. You even said some people can go mad. Yes, I totally agree, because in some cases, the impact of domestic violence is very fatal. It is really, really, really fatal. So I totally agree with you. before we continue with Bishop, I want to go to Dr. Mupapa, but first let's check what the viewers are saying. Priscilla says, I think poverty is equally one of the reasons for domestic violence. Yes, I totally agree, because like going back in Africa, you know, you go and tell your parents that you're and they will tell you, go and fix that marriage because we need you to be there. The man, that's your breadwinner. And all those things is out of poverty, that you even go and tell your parents that you've been abused and they will want you to stay in the relationship. Then Joan says, thanks Bishop, more grace. Yeah, as I said before, Bishop is an influence to our community. Laura Tinzo says, thanks ladies, I feel you, Bishop. And I agree that domestic violence can cause madness. Thank you so very much, Laura, for that contribution. Laura also shares a lot about domestic violence on her page. So we can visit her page to get her updates about domestic violence. Joanne says domestic violence causes depression in the life of many women and men, even children. That's right. We saw that in one of the last episodes. Thank you so very much, Joanne, for that contribution. Laura also said women abuse other women even more than what men do to us, unfortunately. Yes, Laura, unfortunately, that's true. That's true. And Anastasia says, wow, Bishop, God continue to use you to help other women. I totally agree with you. And as she's a blessing our community. Okay, I want to go back to Dr. Mupapa. So, Dr. Mupapa, I know you went through violence. We have a lot of people.
Wow.
Okay, please, if you're using your other device,
Somebody's phone is on.
can you mute it, please? Thank you. Dr. Mupapa, I know you went through domestic violence at very early age. Let me mute Bishop. What do you think is the role of the man in a home? Should a woman actually have a voice? Because in your case, I think I don't want to talk for you. Should a woman have a voice in a home? Remember, some cultures.
Actually, yes, a woman has to have.
Yeah,
you can
cultures, it's just a continuation. You know, in some cultures, it's said a wife should obey her husband, even if her husband is wrong. So, what do you think? Is that the case?
I would say, actually, in my own case, it was not like that, but I would say it is better for a woman to have a voice. I believe in equal rights. And in my own case, my mother does not have the equal rights as a woman, as a mother, as a wife for her husband. And one of the somebody, I think we should, if you have one, we should put this echo in the background.
Yeah, it's coming from somebody. So I don't know who's using her phone. Let me.
Okay.
I think it's better now.
Okay, yeah. So in my own case, as I said before, my mother don't have the right. Her voice was not heard in the home, and she believed mainly. I will always say also maybe because of her experience, the first marriage, and the power that the man have the dominion over her, the control over her, and she believed as I said before, she believe as what we have been discussing since, that she believe as a woman gets married to a man, or gets married, that she have to obey her husband, she have to be under her husband, whatever the husband is saying, she have to submit to it. And submissive does not mean what we are saying in that time. Now, I always say marriage is a way by two people apply together to stay together as a love story, an agreement to take 50% from the wife, 50% from the husband, and have the same voice. My mother don't have the voice. My mother don't have what to say in the family. Now, there was a time where my mother was even pleading me if I would allow her husband to have sex with me. Marriage, to protect our marriage, to protect our home. So this kind of, as the woman of God was saying, Bishop was saying, it has a lot of effect on the children. It had a lot of effect on me at that time. I felt rejected. I felt lonely. I felt like there was no hope for me anymore. I felt like there's no any way, you don't have, you look at your right, there's no one to even look at you like this is my mother, or someone to rely on, someone to lay on. There was a time I have to run away from home. So my mother does not have a voice at that time. Yeah. She doesn't have any voice. As Sister Nora said before also, that women need to stand up to say no. Women need to stand up to start training our children for what's domestic violence, because a lot of people don't even know what is even domestic violence. Bishop also said the same thing, that there was a woman will be expecting a man to slap her. That's, expecting violence, that this is what they believe, because that's how it was from the beginning. In my own case, it's the same way. My mother was not having any voices at home. My mother don't have right to say anything. I believe before, I was thinking that in my own way, up to now, she doesn't have feeling for me. I feel rejected, but I still come to her every day to feel like, okay, mommy, I need this love. But she doesn't give me up to now.
Wow. Dr. Mupapa, I know. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. As I said earlier, the day I read your story, I really had to cry. I was all tears, because being a mother, I can't see myself begging my husband to have sex with her stepdaughter in order to keep my marriage. It was hard to read it. It was hard to watch
I
that.
was abused at the age of 12 years.
Yeah, that documentation.
I was abused at the age of 12 years. Yeah. And she's still like, like, you have to keep quiet. You have to keep quiet. She doesn't want the world to know. She doesn't even want the neighbor to hear about it. So they are trying to silence me that this is normal. Like, you have to keep the secret within us. So a lot of women and young girls are going through the same thing. Thanks so much.
Wow. We appreciate your vulnerability, please. Thank you, and God bless the work you're doing to enlighten other people and telling the world, do not keep quiet. If you realize that somebody's undergoing domestic violence, please speak up and help the person in any way you can. I want to go back to Nora Brown. Nora,
yes.
In our society, a lot of people think that divorced and single women are less valuable. Do you think a woman can earn respect only by being married?
Yeah, that is, and that is another subject that I use myself as an example to debunk all that narrative. I wouldn't say that when I started all these talks about domestic abuse, being single, not married, and stuff. I mean, it was a battle on social media, I must say, from especially from the African men. Um, society has society has made it in a way because of the patriarchy system of looking at things, a male dominated environment or setting. It has made it in a way that they think that their minds have all been orientated to the fact that a woman can only a woman can only gain respect while she is a missus. And because of this, a lot of women have removed value from their own, from their being. Like the value of you being a woman has has all been stripped off, and then this value has been indirectly given to the male gender. That is why they make you feel like you are worthless if you are not married. So it's like you being valued in the society, you must have that attachment of a male figure to you. So it is that attachment which is bringing all the issues, and then it's making a lot of women stay in abusive relationship because the society as well will blame divorce on you. You will see a woman who is being so treated so wrongly, beaten and everything, and then when she decides to walk away from the relationship, they will say that she's a bad woman. I've I've read articles and documentaries of people saying, um, giving the narrative that, oh, a lot of African women in the diaspora, they end up being single women or divorced because they have adopted the European mindset and stuff. Meanwhile, the issue is that the women, it's not that they have adopted the European mindset. The women have grown to understand the difference between love and abuse, which in the African community, in Africa, in underdeveloped world where they don't have this orientation, these women don't know the difference. They don't know the difference between being pampered, being cared for, and then being abused. That is what Bishop Berry was saying. Like, you just accept these things because it has been embedded in you. So getting out from a relationship, I have been there. It took me like, I left the relationship like a mad woman, a woman that was possessed. Like, you just wake up one day and you just say enough is enough. It's like all the skills, all the skills opened from my eyes, because I looked at myself and I was like, hey, when did I start getting into um antidepressant pills? When did I start needing medications to go to bed? And then adding it to my own health issues, and I'm wondering, I have my own health problems to attend to. I have children to attend to. And then the least thing I want to attend to is to add man problem to it. I said no, because I believe that being that man, you should be the one to help me, to elevate me from some of these burdens. So if you can't do that, then it means that we we cannot function together. You understand? So it and then when this breakup happens, You see now, you start seeing friends are like, you for just leave, you for just leave and made a man day. You'd have just left him to be there, It doesn't matter. Let him just sit there and stuff. How do you think people will look at you now? And then it's mostly, then the most embarrassing thing is that it's mostly women that will begin to troll you now when this breakup happens. So we talk about patriarchy and the damages it causes in our society, but on the other hand, the enhancers of patriarchy is not even men who are the enhancers of patriarchy. Over time, I've gone to see that patriarchy is being enhanced by the female gender. And this is like, when I mean they enhance it, I'll give examples so we all see where we are coming from. A woman will go through so much trauma, so much abuse, and ends up divorcing. It's not even men that will come and insult her. It's her fellow woman that will insult her. Let's even go to case. Let's take another scenario of adultery. A man will go out there and have affairs out of his marriage. And then when the woman discovers it, she's so angry. Women will beg the woman, cajole her and everything, and tell her that this is how men are, or stuff. You need to forgive him and all that. Accept your man back. Every man is the same. Now, when the tables are turned, if it's a woman now that goes out there, commits adultery or has an affair with another man out of the marriage, is the same women who will come and meet the man that woman is a bad woman. You need to divorce her. You need to let her go and stuff. So you begin to see that women are the enhancers of domestic abuse. They are the enhancers of the patriarchy system. This system was put in place by men, but over time, women have grown to enhance this system. And then the same women are the ones that push other women into more abuse, because it's still the same woman that will cajole you even when they are taking your eyes off. It's the same woman that will tell you that like this popular slang they use in my country, Cameroon. The same woman will tell you that married na tie heart. For me, that particular sentence, married na tie heart, is what has killed a lot of women in abusive marriages, because I don't see why marriage should be something of tie heart. I know that we humans, we might have one or two shortcomings. We might have one. Nobody is perfect, but there is an extent to which should be, you should not accept. There are extents that is not normal. It's not just normal differences. You understand? I mean, I've seen terrible cases. Let me just give one. I had a friend that we kept advising her that this man is not for you. She's a Congolese woman, and she'll say that, what will I do if I leave this man now? My friends will laugh at me and stuff. This man will just go out and come all drunk and will beat this woman up, hit her, and as fate will make it, she got pregnant for their sixth child after she has been looking for a girl for so many years. And this man just came. She said she was not going to check the gender of the child. She wants it to be surprise because she badly wanted a girl. And this man just came one day, drunk as usual. She was behind the house doing her normal food because she was a caterer. She does these their traditional meats and stuff, and she puts them in the freezer we could buy. And this man just came with her being pregnant and started hitting her. She was already 5 months something, and she started bleeding heavily. And it was her 13-year-old. At that time, her first son was just 13. He was the one that called the police. He called the ambulance that the mom is bleeding and said is the dad that has hit mommy. So they had to send ambulance together with police. And this woman had always been like trying to protect the man and stuff, But now it got to a state where they did not even need her opinion to get this man arrested anymore. He has hit her until her life was in danger. And till today, must we wait? That's the question I always tell people. Must you wait till when you're dead, or when you get to a point where your life is damaged for you to walk out of the relationship, for you to terminate it? Must we wait that long? And 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 the whole experience till today, she cannot even make use of her right hand anymore because the beatings led to a tendon being damaged and stuff. So the hand, she cannot carry anything heavy with it. And then she lost the pregnancy, which turned out that when they checked the features, it was a girl, which she had been looking for several years. So she lives with that trauma today. So all that one got her angry, and that was when she decided to carry on now with the report with the police to say all what she has been going through. Now the issue is, if her son was not even at home, she might have bled to death and the man would have continued hitting her. So must we wait till when it gets to that point? Because I've just noticed that in life, everything, if we want to care, if we want to keep focusing ourselves on what people will say, then you're not going to live your life. Because no matter what you do, people will always talk. No matter how you try, if you care, you are the best person, there will be somebody out there who just hates your guts for nothing. So they will still talk. So if you want to keep worrying about what people will say, then it means we in turn, we are living our lives for others. You are not even living your life for you.
Wow.
So so I had to wake up, have that wake up call and say, enough is enough. I am living life for me first. I'm putting my priorities now on the table. I'm living my life for me first, because I cannot give out what I don't have out there. So myself first has to be taken care of. And I don't see why I should accommodate something which is trying to take away my own self from me. No. If I'm supposed to accommodate you like an external adult into my life, then it means that you are helping me. You are helping me to build me. You are helping me to tell me that you're coming in to tell me that you're beautiful. I adore you. You're telling me the things that will be able to make me excel. But if you being next to me is rather causing me to go down the drain, then I don't see why. I need to keep something that is killing me. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is why I always say either women are the enhancers of abuse, because it's very sad, because you will see a woman really dying in a relationship and she'll be running for help, and then it is these same women that will be pushing her back to her grave. Same women pushing her back, telling her that men are all the same, telling her that you just have to tie hats, you just have to this. At the end of the day, when you die, this man that you're trying to hang on to, because there are certain things in life that you just need to let go if it's not adding value to you. Because by the time you die, you lose yourself. This same man that you were hanging on to, doing everything to hang on to, he would have moved on a million times. By the time they put you down the grave, he's moving on to the next woman. So, so as women, we
Absolutely.
need, as women, it starts from us, because we are life givers. Women are life givers. We are the ones that, it's a woman that brings forth children. If a woman says she doesn't want this child, she doesn't want to bring forth a child, there's nothing you can do. She will not bring forth that child. So we are nation builders, and at the end of the day, it still falls in our hands to make the right decision to build those things, and things that have been put in place which don't favor society. Then we need to try as much as possible to debunk it. I was reading an article the other day, because when we try to talk about abuse, you see men we rant and go like, oh, men are abused as well. We are not saying that men, when we sit down to talk, we are not saying that some men are not facing abuse too. You still have some men who face abuse. But now there is something we call, there's something we talk about, statistics and data. Now, when they focus on women being abused and stuff, once there is a percentage of something which is above 50%, which is not equal, then you focus on that which is equal. Because before coming, I was reading a lot of articles on domestic abuse on women and domestic abuse on men. And from the statistics of what I get, more than 80% of women go through domestic abuse. And then you have just about 12 to 18% of men that go through domestic abuse, which means that the female gender is the gender that suffers it more. So that is why more attention is faced on women going through abuse, because women go through so much. A man marries a woman, the woman sacrifices her life first of all on the delivery table, because once you're pregnant, it's either you're dying there or you are surviving it. So they go through so much in bedding babies for you and stuff, and then at the end of the day, you lift up your hands to hit them. You lift up your hands to abuse them and do all these awful things. Some men even kill their wives at the end of the day. because they have turned the woman to something that is valueless. Some cultures, just because that a man will insult a woman so much that because I've paid your bride price, so he thinks that he has bought you, so he has every right to trample on you. So it's it's a two-way street. And one thing I always say in my concluding thing when I talk about these things, I say we should understand that man and woman, if you take a knife and cut each and every one of us, we all bleed. So as long as we all bleed the same, we should understand that we are all human. That's the first point. We are human. We all have emotions. So so far from it to the thinking that a woman does not feel pain compared to a man, because this is the way they analyze these things. Society has made it look like that, as if a woman is a supernatural being, so they will tell you how the way a woman takes adultery is not the same way a man takes adultery or stuff. Women react differently because why? Society has put it in their head that is a man's way. And even if the woman does not like it, she buries it inside, and then it's eating her up in silence, not talking about it.
Thank you, Nora. We'll come back to you. I totally agree with you. And we need to start putting the society behind our thoughts when we're dealing with abuse. Because our culture has already brainwashed us to think that the only way to become valuable in the society is to be married. We need to demystify the dynamics. And I totally agree when you talked about patriarchy, because it goes hand in hand with colonization. And this is the reason that had kept the structure of gender violence so well entrenched. So truly yours, you were very, very right to mention that. Marriage is good, but if it leads you to your grave, you have to step out. As Nora said, if the perpetrators, if one of them kill you, the very society that has been telling you to stay will be the same person, the same people to type rest in peace as the perpetrator continues with their lives. I want to go back to Bishop Nalova. I know you have gone through domestic violence more than once. Bishop, I want to ask you, do abusers sometimes show some warning signs? Do abusers show some potential warning signs?
Yes, they
Signs to
do.
look out for.
Yes, they do. I want all of us to understand something. If we understand why men are abusers, we can also understand the signs that they show. I can tell you that every man who abuses a woman is a man who feels intimidated by that woman. I mean, intimidation can come in any and every direction. They can be intimidated by your intelligence. They can be intimidated by your financial ability. They can be intelligent by your gifts. Any man who abuses a woman is a man who does not know how to deal with the fact that this woman has something that is more than what they have. So they suffer from some kind of complex. And people who suffer from such complexes, you will get it with the way they talk. So one of the ways you can know that somebody is abusive is how they respond to your success. How does that intimate partner respond to a successful thing you have done? That is one thing. The second thing is that most abusers are very they are people who lack courage. So before they abuse you, they drink and get drunk. You see, because they get the courage from the alcohol. So once you start seeing a man who drinks and gets drunk, and that is when he has the courage to tell you what he wants to say. He also has the ability to hit you after he is drunk. He has the ability to do anything to you, to steal your money, to take whatever he wants to take from you after he is drunk. So watch out for response to success, and also the fact that they are more outspoken when they are drunk. Abusers also, they always warn you with the finger. There is a man who would not abuse you physically, would talk to you without raising the finger. Dr. Mupapa you can confirm this with the researches you have done. The raising of the finger and the pointing of the finger is a sign of violence, isn't it?
She's muted. Oh. Yeah, we lost Doctor. We lost Bishop. Yeah, actually, I also believe that there are some potential warning signs that you see from an abuser. Most of them, they will just want to move quickly into the relationship. Hi, Doctor. Hi, Bishop.
I'm having some internet issues, so please, if I go off, forgive me. It's I live in Ghana.
That's the safe haven. You left and went to Ghana. That was a good sign. You're doing great over there. God.
Okay. So those are the signs you watch out. Because I am your wife, I am not an enemy. Why do you speak and raise your finger at me? That's a sign to watch out for. You know, I was abused by, oh my goodness. I'm even sure that I'm very upset because I won't be able to say a lot as I want to say. But I want to give an experience that I had. I married this man, very loving, very kind, until I discovered something, that abuse can also be perpetrated from a spiritual realm. So all of a sudden he changed, and I did not understand why. I understood later that this man was a member in a cult, and in the cult he had been given an ultimatum to sacrifice me. And so he had to hate me to kill me. And how can he do that without being abusive? You know, he cannot come and say, oh, my loving wife, I have to kill you because I am a member of a cult. No. He has to hate you to kill you. So he became so abusive. I mean, verbally, physically, you name it, to the point of a gun. So I was there thinking and crying, what has happened to this man? Is he losing his mind? Not knowing that the source or the cause of the abuse was his association with a cult. My sister, this thing goes beyond what you and I can see. That's why I'm saying that abuse cannot be taught, it is only experienced.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't even know if you're hearing me.
we are hearing
We
now.
are hearing you very well. Mm. Wow.
This is bad. Now that I want to say something important, this thing is going off.
We are
We
hearing you
can
very well, man. We are hearing you very well. We are hearing you very well.
Oh, we lost her again. Yeah, actually, abusers, they have a
Wow.
lot of potential warning signs.
Actually, what she was saying is very true. It's very true. Because for a man, a 40 years old man is 2 years old child, or there's something wrong with it. It's not normal anymore. Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
You were saying something, Sister Emmy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say some of the perpetrators, they have some potential signs. Some of them
Mm.
are very nice. They are like, if they are married, they are always the general husbands. They are loved by everybody. Everybody's like, oh, that man
Mm.
is a good man. They hide behind that. They are
Mm.
controlling. They are very, very jealous.
Mm.
And more
Mm.
often, they exercise coercive behaviors. You're living as if
Yeah.
you are in a
What?
suffocated environment. You don't have any right of your own. I think they hide
Mm.
behind that, controlling, jealous.
But this is the
And
time that
more,
men need to understand that women have a lot in their mind to offer. That they are, I
yeah,
mean, I said this is the time that men need to understand women has a lot to offer, and this is how they were created, this is how they were made. They have a lot of things that they can offer to the family, to the marriage. They have skills that they can acquire different things. But when woman is love at home, she should be able to explore all the things that's inside of her and to bring the family in a solid way.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I think we'll be bringing the show to an end soon. But I want to go back to you, Nora. Um, I didn't even know. You just said you have experienced violence, so you have first class experience on it to an extent, depending on the form of violence you experience. What, in conclusion, what will you tell a sister who is struggling to live? She knows she's been abused, she's been battered, but she's still living in fear of the unknown. What will you tell that woman? What will you tell that sister? What will you tell that young girl who is in an abusive relationship?
Okay. Now, based on the level of abuse, there are some forms of abuse that um, you know that this one, like in the case of domestic violence, when it's the man is hitting you now physically, I will not even advise you to stay there for a day. Once it gets to the essence, once it gets to that point where a hand a hand is being raised on you, pack your things. It's better to face the fright, the world out there, than to face what is at home. You know, I've I lost a friend like that several years ago, where the man just gave her one slap, and she slipped and hit her head on the radiator, and that was it. It was over. And it was her 5-year-old son that was narrating. Rebecca, if you should stop. It was her 5-year-old son that was narrating everything that was happening, everything that happened to the police when the police came. So it was a boy that was narrating that um daddy daddy slapped mommy and mommy fell and hit her head. So the child saw it happen, you know.
Wow, parenting. We need to always multitask.
Yeah. So definitely that is what happened. That is what happened, and she lost her life like that. So I don't if a friend comes to me and say that the husband is hitting her, I'm gonna be honest. My all what I'll tell her is leave the marriage immediately, because life life has no duplicate. You might have been lucky now that he hits you and nothing happened to you. The next time he hits you, it might be the end of it. You might even have a medical condition that we don't even yet know of, they have not even diagnosed. And then he hits you in an off place which you already have a problem, and then that's it for you. Then when it goes, there are other types of abuse that I can say that okay, maybe family can intervene, and then you see whether it can work. They can try to stop it. Things like financial abuse, some emotional abuse, psychological and stuff. If you try those resolutions and it doesn't work and he just keeps continuing, then you have to know that, hey, this is not being healthy for me. Because if you find yourself, I've been in a relationship that I find myself that I can go for 1 day, 2 days. At that time, I did not even know what depression was. But I knew that I lost myself completely in the relationship, because I found myself I could go for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days without even taking a shower. I was I was not motivated at all to do anything. Even to have a bath was a problem. There was no zeal to even have a bath, because all I kept hearing in my head was, you are a very useless girl, you are a useless woman, nobody can ever love you, no man can ever succeed with you. You are your illness can make somebody cannot have a job, all those type of things. And then you start seeing yourself like a waste, like a waste to society. You are nothing, meaningless. So all those things start playing into your subconscious mind, and before you know, they become real, and then it starts draining life out of you gradually. It starts pulling out the little strength you have, and that is when depression has already set in now, because you start being unmotivated to do anything, even to take care of your own self. You can't anymore. You will sit down, you will not even think you can go to the hairdresser. You will not even think you can even put on makeup. Nothing at all. That you are just drained. And 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 the fun is, your friends around might not even know that this is what is happening to you. They might not even know that you're going through this kind of issue or this kind of stress. you know they will just think that, oh, maybe you are just quiet, but they will not even investigate. It is all left down to you. And and you will be, this is because this is somebody that you've been with for so long. The person is in your mind, constantly in your mind, and then they start saying all these things to you. It's too deep when a stranger says them to you. So it starts becoming a reality because of the person, from the person whom these words are coming from, because this is someone that you people have shared good moments, bad moments. You've spoken so many things together. You've shared your life stories, or where you are coming from and stuff. And then and then the worst is when they start using the stories you've told them, or issues that you discuss with them, and then they start using it back to insult you again. It's also very painful. So that is why words are like, words come to you like a sharp-edged sword. Words are too deep, and there are some words that once they are spoken, you cannot withdraw them. Once they have been spoken, they have been spoken. It will be so difficult for you to withdraw, to take back those words. And 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 the fun is, it hurts. And all these things, they give rise to, when you start getting to that stage as a woman, they give rise to other illnesses. There are a lot of illnesses that come from psychological and emotional trauma. I went through so much that even at a certain stage of a pregnancy, I was told that my sympathetic nervous system is breaking down. That was, that was how bad it was. You know, I had that nervous system breakdown because of what? Because of abuse, psychological abuse and trauma, because I was made to see myself like a nobody, like I was just useless.
Wow.
So when it gets to that point, that's when you need to realize that when you are losing interest in the things you used to do, then as someone, then you should know, because another thing is, African women don't believe in depression. They will tell you that they are not depressed. You Sometimes you will really see your friend going through certain things, and you know very well for sure that this person, the way she's behaving, I don't think everything is okay. But because they don't want to have, there is also stigma on depression. The African community makes depression look like it's a taboo. Nobody will want to be attributed with depression. So I don't see, they even things which are not supposed to be stigmatized, the African community stigmatizes on those things. So somebody will not want to be associated with depression, thinking that it's a bad thing. It's a stigma on them and stuff. So they'll rather prefer to die with it, instead of seeking help. I know that back home, we don't really have psychologists, trained psychologists, or centers where women with these conditions can go for consultation and stuff. But even here that we have it in our Black community, women still will not want to use those services, because they think that just saying that I'm depressed, it's a stigma on them, or people will look at them funny or stuff. So it still boils down to culture. So women should look out for these signs. If you start losing interest in the things you used to do, you should know that you need help. You need to speak out. You need those issues that are bounding you to be addressed. I think that is. That is my concluding statement.
Thank you so very much, Laura. I would just want to say we are not here to tell you viewers to leave your marriage, but what we're trying to say is that if you realize that you are in an abusive or violent relationship, you should be self-assertive. Be self-assertive of the situation. You are the only one who can assess what's happening in life and decide whether you're staying or living, because sometimes living is easy to say live, but living is a process,
The
as
process.
Bishop told us. So, Dr. Mupapa, what will you say to a sister or a friend or a family member who comes to you and tell you that they are in an abusive relationship? What would be your take? What would you advise them to do?
First of all, if somebody comes to me in this kind of situation, the first thing that comes to my mind is your life first, your safety, which is the most important, because anything can happen in the next stage. So the first thing is your life. Some people think about it because of what they have invested in the relationship or in the marriage. But no matter what they have invested, the first thing that I always take care of life. Your life is number one. Look at all means to move from there. You just have to move. There's no way. Just move. There's a lot of NGOs out there that you can search on the internet. You can browse the number, contact them, and ask for solution. Ask for help. Ask for help as much as you can. It is very important.
Wow, thank you so very much, ladies. I think you guys have already, we have said a lot. And in conclusion, I would just say if your friend, a trusted friend, comes to you and disclose the violence they are experiencing, please don't judge them, because that's the most important step they have taken. That's very positive. It's not easy for somebody to come over to you and say they are depressed. So in case they do, please take it seriously. I know sometimes it can be difficult to respond to them, especially if you are concerned that they might be in danger. However, there are ways you can support that friend, that family member, and that sister. For domestic violence, help and support in the UK, especially in Leeds, United Kingdom, you are free to call the 24 hours Women Aid Helpline on 011 346 0401. Or if you don't feel comfortable to call that number, please kindly get to us at dadnamwoman at info.dadnamwoman.org, or you call us on 0739-236-1335, and we'll refer you over to the Women AIDS group. For your own good, please be self-assertive. For your own good, please stop abuse. Abuse is a personal thing. We heard Bishop say that over and over again. Abuse no boundaries. We need to be able to teach people how we want to be treated. And together with the other women, I cross my hand and I say, no, do not violate me. I am a woman. Thank you so very much for watching. Until then, we see you next week as we bring the men on board. We cannot continue talking about domestic violence without including the men, because most of the perpetrators more often are men. Thank you so very much, and see you next week. Bye.